Welcome to Teachings from the Masters with Daryl Shaun Price.
Hi, welcome. Today I want to talk to you about omens. And this is a concept that exists in many traditions throughout the world, throughout all of history. The idea of receiving divine guidance or prophecy or inspiration or whatever you want to call it. But being led and directed on what actions to take that are best for you in whatever situation by a higher source than your senses. So as we break that down, I want to remind you, one of the big things that I talk about over and over again is living in alignment. And that is spirit, heart, and mind are in sync. Your spirit is the energy of creation itself that exists in all things. And as such is already vibrating in what is your happiest life right now. When you get in sync, your spirit, your heart, your mind, when you are living in alignment, you will be directed. You will find omens. You will be able to know, hey, this feels like peace. I'm going to take this step. There's a lot of faith in that. Because we live in a society that doesn't teach us to follow the omens. It teaches us to hustle and push and work and become part of society that's all external. But when you learn to recognize and follow the omens in your life becomes a lot easier. You almost naturally eliminate the struggle. And it goes back to a concept that you can find in Taoism. So there's a philosophy in Taoism called the Wu Wei. And it states that the master does nothing, yet through the master, nothing is left undone. And this applies here because the master is someone who lives in alignment. Their spirit, their heart, and mind are in sync. And that's where their focus and their energy is. Are they working together? Am I in alignment? And when he's or she is in alignment, they are naturally led on the easiest path to their happiest life. How do you recognize the omens? This is the easy part. Because everything is an omen. And I mean everything. Every little thing in your life is an omen. Because everything in your life is created as a reflection of you energetically. And the experiences you have, the thoughts you think, the things you say, the things you hear, the things you listen to, what you eat, what you do, are all reflections. And each of those reflections, each of those experiences, are you either bringing your energy more in alignment or creating more dissonance? So if everything's an omen, what does that mean? Like, how do you use that? Well, I want to point out that just because everything is an omen doesn't mean you should be looking and waiting for every little sign and say, I'm only going to follow the signs. No. They will start to come naturally as you're aware of them. And we're going to talk about becoming more aware of the omens and how to use them in your life to feel more at peace and actually to create a life free from struggle. But everything is an omen because everything is either causing you to be more in alignment or more out of alignment. And you know because of your heart. That's your heart's job. Every situation that happens, your heart will give you a signal. If it feels like peace, love, joy, hey, that's more in alignment. Go that way. If it feels like fear, if it feels like frustration, if it feels like anger, if it feels like depression, anxiety, hey, that's a sign that is not in alignment. Stop going that way. And I know where a lot of people that I work with get hung up is they start to get into the details about, yeah, but why am I feeling that? And why am I feeling this? And they really start to dig in to the old programming. The reason why the Wu Wei says the master does nothing, yet through the master nothing is left undone, because the master Approaches every day not from a perspective of what do I have to do today? What do I have to accomplish? What's my checklist so I can reach certain goals, so I can do certain things? The master who stays in alignment does not know what's happening next, does not know where the next step that they take is going to lead, and doesn't care. They are so in alignment, have so much trust and faith in the energy of creation and their spirit to guide them on the easiest path to their happiest life, that whatever feels like peace, they take that step with zero attachment to an outcome. Yeah, that can be scary. And I know your mind is already racing. Well, but I have things I have to do. I have to go to work to pay the bills. If I don't, I won't have enough money, and then my car will be taken away and I'll be kicked out of my house. And I have to work on my relationship with these people in this way, or they won't be happy. And I have to do all these things, or I won't be healthy. You don't have to do anything. And in fact, I don't know if you realize how guided, protected, inspired you truly are. You are such an amazing, special, important piece of this universe that you, exactly as you are right now, all the strengths, all the weaknesses, all the desires, all the perspectives, everything that makes you you exactly as you are right now. If you did not exist, the universe itself would not exist. That is why the energy of creation, that life force that beats in everything in the universe, wants you to be your happiest, best self. No matter what you're experiencing externally right now, you are always being led to that happiest life. Always. And when you start to recognize the omens and focus on living in alignment, the struggle becomes less and less and less. Because a lot of times we are living from a head first perspective where we have to do certain things based on what society has told us, or we won't get the results we want. And if we don't have those results, we think we can't be happy. So we're so focused externally that we're stuck. We're stuck in knowing. And in fact, one of the greatest blocks to you manifesting miracles in your life is knowledge. And I know you want to protect that knowledge. Oh, all the things I've learned, and I know how to do these things, and I have these skills, and I worked really hard to get them, and that's fine. But knowledge, when you know something, I know, for example, and this is not something I have, but it frequently happens with my clients, I know that for me to get more money, I have to work hard. Well, now you will never get money without working hard, because that limit of knowledge. The truth is this: to be a true master of manifesting miracles in your life, you have to let go of the burden of knowing. The wise man is he who knows nothing. Now he's limitless. Because the moment he knows something, it can only be that way. I've had so many experiences in my life of following the omens, of taking inspired action that would make no sense logically. But I got everything I wanted and more. But I didn't know that would be how I did it. That I didn't know that's what would happen. So what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you in following the omens in your life? It means start paying attention to how you feel in every experience. A lot of times you'll hear me say, follow the peace. And it's for this and this reason only. And yes, you have your desires, and those desires do come from your mind, and it's within the certain beliefs that you have right now, those desires exist, and that's fine. So let's say you desire financial freedom, and I want more money so I can do more things because I want to feel more like this. Okay. Still, follow the peace. Well, what if my peace says to just go lay down in a hammock and read a book? That's not going to get me more money. Your brain doesn't think it will. But who knows what's going to happen if you follow the peace? For you to manifest miracles, you need to let go of knowing. Start trusting the omens. Let me break down omens just a little bit more. Yes, everything is an omen. For example, you can go into a closet and say, oh, well, this shirt today or that shirt today, which one feels more like peace? And you may get nothing. The neutral means it doesn't matter. It's not affecting your alignment to choose one or the other. But there may be a moment you walk into that closet and you look at that gray shirt that you love and you're about to grab it and, oh, something feels off. I really don't feel like I should be wearing this today. Okay, let it go. Ooh, that blue shirt. I feel really at peace when I look at that. I guess I'm wearing that one today. You don't do it because somehow it's going to lead to some big thing. It's just, it feels like peace, so I'm following it. I have committed to following the peace. Because everything's a reflection of me, and if it feels like peace, I'm being directed that way to be more in alignment. And who knows? Maybe because you wore that specific blue shirt that caught the attention of someone while you were out, and they complimented the shirt, and it started a conversation, and that person ends up changing your life. All because you wore the blue shirt because it felt like peace. And that's really the key to omens, guys. You got to follow the peace. Not understand why you're doing it, how it makes sense, just follow it. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical example I use in a lot of my trainings. So let's say you are somebody who's out one night with some friends and you're at a bar or a dance or something, it doesn't matter where, lots of people around. And you look across the room and there's someone that catches your eye. And there's this spark and there's this attraction and you go, oh my gosh, I really want to get that person's number. And boom, it hits, it feels good. You turn to your friend and say, hey, I'm going to go get that person's number. You walk over there, you introduce yourself and say, can I have your number? Well, now what happens? If you are in alignment, it doesn't matter. The person could get really excited, feel the spark, give you their number. The person could turn around and slap you and call you a creep. And you don't take what happens on the outside as, oh, well, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have trusted my gut. Because you don't know all of the physical pieces that are shifting as you become more in alignment. In fact, there's a lot of times the clients that start working with me, at first it feels like their life is falling apart because they're so attached to these things they know, so attached to these limiting beliefs, that as they dissolve, it does kind of feel like the outside world is falling apart. But the peace inside, as they keep going, starts to create a life that's easier for them, that takes the struggle away. I'm going to give you an example in my life. So years ago, me and my family were really struggling financially. I had a job that was kind of pulled out from under me, like a carpet being pulled out from under my feet and me falling on my face. I was making great money. I was a consultant. I was doing work that I liked. And all of a sudden, the owner one day texts me and says, we can't pay you anymore because we ran out of money. That, I definitely didn't expect it. Like shock on my face. I can look back now and tell you I was in that job because I didn't follow the omens. It never felt like peace. I was forcing and pushing because I have to pay my bills. And we'll get into that part of that story in just a second. But I want to tell you what happened next. So while we were struggling, and it took a while for all of us to find income, and we were all very supportive of one another, but to get enough income coming in to pay our bills even. We got to a point of almost being evicted from a house. We had a car repossessed. We couldn't pay electric bill. We were begging and borrowing from people just to get by. So in the middle of all of this, I had one idea that hit me one day. And it felt like peace. And the idea was, go get a poke bowl. Not logical in this situation. You guys can't afford to pay your bills. Why would you spend money to go get a poke bowl? And I wasn't even super hungry. I didn't need something to eat right then. But the idea hit, get up and go get a poke bowl. And it felt like peace. I said, okay, I'm going to follow the peace. Didn't know what would happen. My mind, because it only knows what is happening now, cannot predict the future, cannot see what miracles might come. My mind was saying, well, maybe it's just you need a break. Maybe this will just help relax you. Maybe it's a little bit of comfort food, blah, 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 blah. Thoughts. But I didn't put any validity in them. They were just thoughts that exist. So I go to this poke place that was actually struggling. It did not have good toppings. You could tell they had missed some shipments of getting supplies in. So a lot of the stuff I like in my poke bowl wasn't there. Went and got iced tea from their iced tea machine. And as soon as I sipped that tea, oh, it was rancid. It tasted moldy. So I went and told them, hey, I think your tea's gone bad. Dumped it out, got a new cup, got some water, sat down. And sat down next to a gentleman who had a cup of half tea, half lemonade. So my thought was, oh, he's not going to know that the tea's rancid because the lemonade's going to cover the flavor. So I turned to him and said, you may not want to drink that. I just sipped the tea and it really tasted rancid and moldy and I don't want you to get sick. He said, oh, thank you. Went and dumped it out, got only lemonade, came back and asked me, hey, do I know you? I said, no, I don't think so. Well, I happened to be sitting next to the owner of South Texas Comic Con. And we got to talking a little bit about, and he said, you look really familiar to me. And we started to share stories. And I've done a lot of work with conventions and festivals and fairs and other big events like that. And he goes, oh, I need someone with your expertise to come run my celebrity floor. I'm trying something new and I need someone who really has experience to help make it happen. And offered to pay me the exact amount we needed to fix the situation we're in to at least get our bills paid. And there's nothing my mind could have done that would have ever come up with go to a poke bowl place right now and you'll meet some guy who's going to give you a job that you're really qualified for so you can get back up on your feet. But the omen was, go get a poke bowl. The omen wasn't, go get a poke bowl and it'll solve your financial issues. This is where the faith comes in. This is where the faith that precedes the miracle comes in that is talked about in almost every religious tradition. When you feel peace about an idea, you follow it. When you feel peace about what someone says, you follow it. When you feel peace about an experience you have, you lean into it. When you don't feel peace, you step away. And this takes some practice to shift from letting the mind drive your life and about all the things that it's worried about that you have to do or else, and knowing and trusting that if you follow the peace, you will always be on the easiest path to your happiest life. And this is just one of many experiences I've had in my life where I follow the peace and miracles have happened. I get to be the person I love to be with a life that I am in love with because I follow the peace, not because I did anything. I have had people invest 6 figures into a company on a whim because I followed the peace. I have had the opportunity to step into some dream opportunities like being a radio talk show host that I always thought would be awesome because I followed the peace, not because I followed a logical way to get there. When you are stuck with the brain driving and have a logical path to get somewhere, it's always going to be a slower, more struggling route. Yeah, you can eventually get there. You can eventually get the money you want. You can eventually have the happy relationship. There's a lot of work and struggle there. When every omen in your life is pointing you on the easiest path to your happiest life. And if, and I know this happens to you, and it happens to everyone that I work with, if you get an omen, if you get that inspiration of, hey, this thing feels like peace, this idea felt like peace, and your brain starts to go, yeah, but you can't do that because that's not going to work because that's your mind fighting to keep your current beliefs. But your current beliefs are limiting. And in fact, all beliefs are limiting. But whatever your current beliefs are, you've already limited to only within these beliefs do I accept experiences. So if the energy of creation, if your spirit is leading you to an experience that's outside of that, your mind is going to go, no, that doesn't make sense. That's not going to work. Why would you do that? Just like my Pokeball experience. You don't have the money. That makes no sense. Don't go out there and get a Pokeball. You need to sit here and fix this situation. And yeah, I could have worked hard and pushed and figured out different ways to now get new income in, which we were already trying to do. Or I could have followed that one omen. Go get a Pokeball. Here's the easiest way. And these situations occur not to confuse you, but to show you you don't have to do anything. If you are willing to follow the peace, you will be led on the easiest path to your happiest life. And a lot of the things you end up doing as you follow that inspired action will naturally dissolve the beliefs you have that are keeping you stuck. So let me review one more time. Everything in your life is an omen. But that doesn't mean you need to obsess over every little thing and figure out what the sign is and what it means. Just pay attention to how you feel. If something comes up that feels like peace, you follow that and say, okay, I am following that because it's the easiest path to my happiest life. And I don't need to know how it works out or what's going to happen. If something comes up that doesn't feel like peace, you turn away and say, okay, I'm not going to go down that path of struggle because it's not part of my path, creating my happiest life. And as you do this, you'll naturally start to live in alignment. Because as you listen to and follow the peace, you automatically shift your attention from reacting to outside circumstances to how do you feel? And it connects your heart, your spirit, and your mind. And there is nothing, and I mean nothing greater than the power of you. When you are in alignment, you will naturally create your happiest life. Because you're following the peace, because you're manifesting miracles. You want some help on how to shift into this lifestyle of living in alignment and manifesting miracles? Go to DarylShaunPrice.com. Click on courses. There's a course there called The Power of You 2-Week Transformation. This is the most powerful course I've ever created in my 20 years of being a coach. It will take you through daily practices that help you shift so that you are living in alignment as your way of life, not reacting to external circumstances, so that manifesting miracles becomes natural to you. Also, please like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs it. See you next time.